Do you ever try and choose to tell one story and end up telling something entirely different? Or maybe you end up telling both stories when you only started out to tell the one. And it's strange how often that happens, at least to me, and I've been doing this on YouTube now for quite some time. It still is surprising to me, and it shouldn't be, but hey, this video I was all prepared to talk about Willow. Which of course I'm still going to do, right? I'm still going to talk about Willow and its lack of success. But now there's a much different story that I want to talk about. In fact, I'm going to label this video, I think, and title it, When Willow Met Samba. Intrigued? Here we go. Now this particular video, it may be actually somewhat short because the focus was supposed to be on the complete collapse of interest in Disney perverted shows. Now, not perverted shows that Disney Plus is like putting out there, although some people may feel that way about them. No, I was talking about the perversion of stories to prop up a not so secret agenda that we all learned about from the Reimagine Tomorrow indoctrination videos that we privy to just under a year ago. And that stuff actually permeates all of the new content coming from Disney. It's simply riddled with it and it can't be argued. I mean, they're telling you it's in there. So, and that, of course, that also includes shows that are being directed at young children. Now, this, of course, has led to some consequences for Disney. You've seen, well, a complete recoil from a large portion of the audience and a loss of trust in Disney as a brand, regardless of the IP that they're showing you. It seems that the only thing family related that people seem to be interested in at Disney is theme park related. Well, and I have some news going forward that may not be the case much longer. You see, they're losing a ton of market share to, Universal and others, primarily Universal, and good for them. Anyway, Disney recently released another Disney Plus show with Willow that not only features but promotes a relationship that perhaps some families may not want their younger children exposed to, at least not yet. And, people have a lot of reasons for that, including religious ones. And in the weeks leading up to the show's release, I actually tried to clue everybody in, to warn you on what was coming. I think I did a pretty decent job. Well, there were many of us actually. It wasn't just me. A lot of people talking about this. And I also wanted to help set expectations, at least for almost everybody that pays attention to me, that we are about to say goodbye to Lucasfilm as a quality brand because of the release of Indiana Jones and the dial bar of male hero removal. That's right. You're going to see, well, the scrubbing out of a male hero in an Indiana Jones role. You're going to get, well, something new. But to return to the subjects at hand, and again, there are two of them. Here's my friend, my man Ryan here, who's actually doing his thing. I show you this picture for a reason. He's reacting to the poor performance of Willow in the consumption category. That means ratings. There's nobody watching it. Well, there are some people watching it, just not as many as they would hope for. And you can see that he is using Samba TV numbers here, and there's an article here that he's using from Cosmic Book News, who's been doing some incredible work, by the way. Congrats, you guys are killing it. I think it's Matt McGloin over there, as a matter of fact. Then something about this article and something that he was saying caught my ear. The article actually states something that had occurred to me recently, but I hadn't stored in resident memory. And I'm going to quote it. Here we go. Samba TV took a bit of a sabbatical for some reason following the release of Amazon Prime's Lord of the Rings series, but now they are back providing numbers for Willow. And I was like, that's true. They really have disappeared from reporting numbers for the most part. With very few exceptions, they were very focused on business. We'll get into that in a second. So, Samba's pause in reporting numbers around shows was conspicuous. Let's put it that way. And Now, the article points out that the InstaFace post from Samba shows that the first 2 episodes of Willow only gathered 481,000 households in the first 5 days. That's not a lot. It's really small considering the subscriber base here in the United States for Disney Plus. Now, that actually is the lowest. This is the lowest show on Disney Plus as far as those metrics go. It's also the lowest rated program on Rotten Tomatoes that Disney Plus has fired out, which is surprising because they've released a lot of garbage. I can't imagine anybody getting past the first 3 episodes of Willow unless they plan to monetize the destruction of yet another wonderful IP on YouTube. So I imagine that Az and Jane and maybe a few others will rip this apart properly and prevent anybody else from having to suffer it. At least I hope so, anyway. So as reported by Cosmic Book News, hashtag RIP Willow. Indeed. But I honestly couldn't shake this idea, this feeling about this pause, right? It was weird. Something was going on at Samba. And I kept asking myself questions. Had they been bought out by somebody somehow, or at least silenced somehow by anybody, or maybe an entire group of somebody's, like streaming services and such? So I start to speculate, wonder, or go looking for information, and I realize they're in the business where they sell themselves to these media entities. They want to sell their data. They want to sell like manipulated perspective. The data that they sell, they can package pretty much in any way that they want to, or in a way that reflects whatever the media company wants to see or hear, which is distressing because that might lead them to waste an incredible amount of money making content that not anybody is going to watch. I would say that they have been the culprit, maybe a few occasions, of doing just that. I think this would have been an example because remember, part of the reason that Samba and a lot of these other entities exist, including Parrot Analytics, is they want to tell you what audiences want and consume. Well, I can tell you, if this Willow show came through that pipeline, or at least was, visited upon this show, they failed. They failed. But from September 6th post, and this is going back a ways, so you go all the way back to September 6th with Samba, they posted that 1.8 million US households watched the Rings of Power, right, within the first X number of days. And from that point forward, Samba basically went silent when it came to reporting numbers on shows. I mean, on the screen here, you can see, because I'm running this brief video clip here, you can see what actually happened between then and the recent stuff that's happened on Samba's InstaFace thingy. Now, mind you, this is directly from their website, so I've not done anything here other than just scroll through, and there's lots and lots of businessy things here. From September 6th to September 13th, you got a small update on an uptick in crown viewership that was like 600% because of the Queen's passing, right? That's going to make a lot of sense since that show is directly tied to her and the royals. So and then we have obviously a ton of more business things here, just tons and tons and tons and tons. And then we get to November 14th, posting for Yellowstone Season 5 being the #1 scripted premiere of the entire 2022. So there you go. Now, that's a 2-month gap between like the Queen's update and when we get this thing on Yellowstone, at least as far as ratings or something like that is reported. I'm sure there were companies getting all of that data. I'm sure they were, but Samba didn't show anything. Now, I'm very suspicious here, as you already know, because I've said it more than once. And consider that after the first reporting by Samba on Amazon's Rings of Power, which sort of flew in the face of Amazon's own reporting about how successful their show was, how triumphant, they went click, radio silence. Samba took a nap. I don't know, hiatus or not, sabbatical, find your own term. Now, since we got recent reporting on Yellowstone, we get, of course, from that point, a reporting about a racial divide for Wednesday and Not sure that this particular post here is. I'm not sure why they're posting it absent context in overall viewing, because it would have more of an impact to people who are paying attention. But over-indexing happens all the time, especially with theatrical film releases, at least as far as audience attendance goes demographically. So whatever. Again, absent context, this was silly. Then, after the Wednesday show reporting, we have the car crash that is the Willow series. And nobody cares. With that few viewers, 450-something thousand, no. That is a colossal failure, just to put it mildly. In fact, there are so few people that care that Samba actually accentuates this reporting the numbers up against the most recent post that they have, the hated Harry and Meghan docu smear piece that rolled out of Netflix. That's how bad Willow is. I find it strange that there is a gap like this in tracking, so I am speculating. There are three things that I think may have created this, but they're all related to the content creators or the streaming services alike. I don't think you can shy away from that. I think that's probably the reasoning here. So we'll start here. Pressure from the studios to pause releasing numbers, especially about divisive shows. I think specifically this is tied to Amazon's Rings of Stolen Valor. I think that's number one. That's one of the reasons I think maybe they hit the pause button. They were hurting shows by essentially confirming what we already suspected here in our sphere. Number two would be pressure directly from Disney to give Andor, their new Star Wars show, a pass. So their bought and paid for shills, and you know who they are, could try and recover what is left of a Star Wars IP, at least as far as an audience is concerned. And while some people continue to tell me that despite the boredom that they experience, Andor was okay, that's not ringing endorsement to me. So, and three, it could have been a requested moratorium because of the election cycle. In fact, if you look at all the skipped business thingies that I scrolled through there, I think there's a lot of reference material that would point towards that and around the idea of not just the electoral campaigns, but also some holiday efforts to sell their marketing to companies that were looking for ways to pursue advertising. I'm leaning towards the third one, the last one, the latter, just because I think that's a very sound business way or business reasoning. I don't, it could be the other two. Could have been a combination of the two. Could be both Disney and Amazon saying, you guys got to stop for a little while. You're killing us. But regardless, for the moment, right now, Samba seems to have returned to show the numbers. Just show us just how garbagey some of these shows are performing now, just because they're trash. They obviously aren't resonating with the audience, specifically when it comes to Disney shows. They just aren't landing, and their plan to drive away families and viewers has worked there, and they're still continuing to seek out controversy day in and day out, and there's no pause there. So whether or not Samba continues to track Willow will remain to be seen. I don't know that I don't know that it's going to tick upwards. In fact, I would say that it won't. But it might be an effort to track Willow as a sort of a bellwether to show, a performance, a measure of its reception, just to see how far the audience has been driven away, testing a level of tolerance. I can actually imagine that in the twisted minds of the people that are running these companies, wanting to pursue testing the limits of an audience's tolerance, especially with this kind of programming. I'm certain, though, that there is no need to do that testing anymore. You have sufficient data. The audience is bailing out across the board. It doesn't matter if it's Disney with, anything from Lucasfilm or Marvel, or obviously, Paramount doesn't need to test over there. With Star Trek, we already know. I think there's enough data out there. Outside of Yellowstone, for example, I don't think that there really is anything that the audience is roundly supporting these days. Lots and lots of buzz and positive around Yellowstone from all across the audience, the entire bandwidth. It's quite possible that Samba is pursuing their own interests when they're putting out these posts the way that they do and in their own timing. After all, as I mentioned before, and I'll continue to say, they're really just a marketing company in the end, and they're interested in selling their own services primarily. I mean, they want to sell these numbers that they've invested in, putting this technology into people's television and set-top boxes. But I have to ask, what do you think? Is Samba just following their own path? You think that's likely? Is releasing the terrible Willow numbers done for a purpose? Something that I didn't get? Or why do you think Samba took a 2-month hiatus? Why would they take a break? They're good questions. I need answers, and I'm asking for you to help out. So feel free to leave some comments down below on your thoughts on any of those questions, or any guidance you can give me on why we go from Rings of Stolen Valor to Willow. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but hopefully you can help me fill in the blanks down below, and we'll have a conversation there. And of course, I'm going to encourage you to support other independent creators here on the platform. They absolutely deserve your help in growing. And the way that we do that is with, obviously, your comments. That's engagement. By you sharing out the content out there, that's very beneficial. People then know that this channel and others, these independent creator channels, exist. Make sure you're subscribed to them. Make sure that you like their videos, and make sure you turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. It's very important. And with that, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye. And don't forget to check out my Rumble at rumble.com/CultureCasino. And don't forget to check out my Rumble at rumble.com/CultureCasino.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.